Yo, so that's exactly what Trump is doing right now.
So if you go back and look at the actual analytics to what happened to the tariffs, to the economies, the last two times tariffs have gone into place, we had a recession and then we had the Great Depression. The Great Depression was technically led by increased tariffs, which led to a stock market crash, which caused the Great Depression, is my understanding of it.
Makes sense.
Tariffs have traditionally failed. And the reason that I like to attribute Trump liking them, and for those who haven't paid attention, feel free to go Google Trump tariffs interviews. He's been talking about doing this ever since he talked about originally running for any kind of office. He's been
So he's
talking
been an
about this
idiot for
for
many, many
decades.
decades.
Well, there's a reason he has 7 bankrupted businesses. But anyway, um, well, that's a whole different animal. But anyway, if you go ask anybody about the history of tariffs and how do they work, catastrophically, they fail on a grand basis. If you want a tariff to succeed, this is how you do it. You say, hey, let's take an industry, lumber. Let's just use lumber. Right now, well, until the tariffs happened, a lot of our lumber was coming out of Canada, is my understanding. They were lumbering up there, shipping it down here, either partially refined, or not refined, all whatever, it doesn't matter. And we would get it ready and put it in a market. Now, if we can buy a board out of there or the stuff to make a board out of there for a quarter of the price that it would take for us to do it here, because we've been logging the country for a long time. I don't know how much is left. I've been hearing talks about it's getting harder and harder to find areas to lumber here, which is why Trump has decided to sign an executive order allowing lumber companies to go into national parks and start lumbering, is because we're running lower on it. And with the new climate changes, trees aren't growing as fast or as well as they used to. The quality of the wood's not as good. But the fact is, hey, if we can get it cheaper from there, then the jobs we're possibly losing is the actual taking down the tree, maybe some of the refining. But when we just put a tariff on it and say, nope, no more today, we're done. That's a 300% tariff. You can't bring it in anymore. Well, you can't just say, okay, well, today, instead of mining in Canada or lumbering in Canada, I'm going to lumber in the United States. It's like, no, no, no. You have to get people, a company, you have to find locations, you have to buy the equipment, you have to get training, or bring in people with training that aren't already working, or train them up, or like.
And then I'm going to tell you how much I'm charging for that.
And then you still have to refine it, get the distribution channels in place. There's all these different things you got
You have to set up your own supply chain. We're dismantling our already existing supply chain just to be a dick to the world. That's what it looks like.
Well, hold on. Let's just walk through the process. You got to get quality control in place, which is a big issue. You got to get distribution in place. You got to get pricing accordingly. And as we've seen, between a time we go, oh, nope, Trump just said no more, and he hard stops it. Like, do you think that all can happen in a day, a week, or even a month? No, there's no way. Go look at how hard it is to hire somebody. Do you think you can hire 700-800 people, maybe a couple thousand people to go do all that lumbering? Do you think you can secure millions and millions of boards used for manufacturing in 30 days? No, it's impossible.
Look at all the job reports coming out. There's no fucking work.
So, and if he puts tariffs on the equipment and the materials to go mining or lumbering, like the chains that come out of another country because
screws, oil,
and you can't bring in the machines from China to do the lumbering, and like the chainsaws, and the price of gas is going up because you put a tariff on that. The cost to get this is going to go up 1,000%, and you can't bring a board from $2 to $200 and expect it to be sold. And the cost eaten, now the cost of building a house or repairing a house, and with all the hurricanes and floods and everything else, the demand is going up. Like, it's just unreasonable. What you have to do in order to do this is you have to say, okay, I'm going to give you a year, or I'm going to give you a year and a half, or 9 months, or something like that. Something that allows them to have time to get the resources in, to get the people trained, to get the contracts in place, to start figuring, like, you got to have time to figure all this stuff out and get it in place and get it ready so that price compatibility is there and not going to disrupt the market. But that's not what he's doing. Every tariff he has is it's going to go into effect in 2 weeks or 30 days or 60 days. And it's like, you can't move Let's do computer chip manufacturing. For those who don't know how computer chips are manufactured, go look it up. There's dies and there's materials and there's knowledge that you need in order to be able to create a high enough quality of these chips. And inside a chip, there's these little pathways the electrons go, and they're super small, which means that the dies have to be microscopically tuned to like, what is it, 3 nanometers right now in order to be able to compress enough circuitry into that tiny little chip in order for it to do all the amazing things it does. And when Apple tried to move their dies and their manufacturing facilities out of China to India at the beginning of the tariffs, when Trump had like 300% tariffs on China, they found out that the cost to move those to India, even with the low cost of labor there, the yields went from, what was it, 85% or something to like 30%. So that meant the cost goes up, 300% or 400%. And that is very wasteful between product and failures and having to check it. A cell phone goes automatically from $1,000 to $4,000 just moving it to China, or sorry, moving it to India. And those guys are making, I don't know, a fraction of what the Americans are going to make. A cell phone in the U.S. will cost $20,000 when you add it all up.
You can't make the iPhone in the United States. We just can't. We don't have the supply chain. We don't have the materials. We just don't have the stuff.
And back to the same analogy, it's like, okay, so we're going to not allow anybody that has the knowledge into us, because over the last 20 years, we've had a brain drain, and the people that are best at doing this aren't in the U.S. They're over there in China. So we can't bring them here because Trump will arrest them and beat them and throw them in a Venezuelan prison. Blah, what he's trying to do to Hyundai. The manufacturing costs of silicone and magnets and steel and all that's going to go up tremendously too, which means that's an even higher cost to manufacture production lines, to be able to build a facility, to be able to build these dies. The cost of plastic and oil is going up because Trump is being Trumpy. So like every single aspect of how you make a phone is going to be significantly more cost prohibitive. Should that be the final solution? Should we say, well, we can't fix it? Well, no, I like the idea, but the CHIPS Act was the right way to do it. Let's invest in America. Let's have American facilities built. Let's have new technology built, new ways of making dies, new ways of using computers to control quality, putting people into schools and providing them jobs here so they can learn and get into the industry here. Let's slow roll this instead of tariffing it so we can make it more incentive. You want to do a 60% tariff in 2 years or 100% tariff in 2 years, and you do the CHIPS Act, probability that Intel and Apple and those guys will work together to figure it out and invest that money to actually build the facilities here, that might be more beneficial. But at the end of the day, he's saying, well, it's going to the Chinese military. I was like, come on, dude, let's be honest. If we're doing a 300% tariff, I know exactly where it's going. Your cronies are going to wreak it out in pork.
And not for nothing, do you hear how much Trump has been on TV and probably in the past few weeks a bunch of different times with a different number of how much we've collected in tariffs. He's throwing out crazy numbers like 8 trillion. We've collected 12 trillion in tariffs. Okay, like where is it though? Where is it going? What is it helping? Is that funding your fucking Gestapo army? Where's this money?
It's all lies.
I know it is, but
it was like,
how come MAGA isn't questioning it? That's my point. How come you guys aren't questioning it?
It's like 30 billion. It was like 20 billion and 30 billion. Now it's like 60 billion or something like that. I forget the actual numbers. It's not trillions. It's in the billions. But
well, the point is, he's not telling the truth every time he says it.
Paid by Americans, so that's now what?
You and me.
Almost $100 billion that you've had to spend to buy the same products at probably lower quality than you did 6 months ago. So they're taking your money and redistributing it to the wealthy through these tariffs. That's all that's about.
It blows my mind that people are still arguing the point that we don't pay the tariffs. I still see that argument on Twitter. Like, we don't have to pay the tariffs. The companies are paying for them. Like, there's enough but you're paying more for that product.
Well, there's some of these people still believe the world is flat. So what are you going to do?
And Santa Claus is real.
Good Lord. Kids.
He
anybody under the age of 18, Santa Claus is real.
Santa Claus is real.
Under the age of 18, right. If you think Santa Claus is real, go see a therapist.
What are you saying?
So, again, he's not doing anything to actually put tariffs in place at a cadence that will support industry and the moving of companies. He's using it purely as a money extortion technique on Americans in order to generate more money that he can then spend on tax breaks for the rich. That's all it is. And the fact that they change at a whim or based on his personal emotional state at any given moment is proof. And then on top of it, if you look at the trade deals, like there's none. There's no real trade deals. Every trade deal that he says he has is either him sending out a letter telling you this is the deal, or it's some horribly negotiated thing that still has 15 to 30% tariffs that weren't there, 6 months ago. So at the end of the day, his tariffs and his deals are still costing you billions of dollars.
There is
Period.
nothing that this administration is doing, nothing that is helping you. You think he might be. The only thing that I think he's doing for MAGA is convincing you that he is doing something. That's it. He's costing you more money. He's taking away your health care.
Well, on a grander scale. And the other thing I want to go into with tariffs is there's two things I want to do. So I want to talk about the medicine tariff real fast, and then let's look at job loss. So the medicine tariffs, I'm going to go through this again. Trump said that he's going to place tariffs and get it figured out. So he gives you a 1,500% discount on your medicine. Well, in the short term, if he puts a 500% tariff, 300% tariff, your medicine is, depending on what it is, could be $300, and then your Medicare puts it down to $10 for you to buy. But let's say the actual price that you end up paying with insurance paying too is $300. If he puts a 300% tariff, that $300 medicine now goes to $900. Well, that's going to be a bit rough, right? And insurance ain't going to cover your life for that $600.
Insurance ain't going to cover a tariff either.
Die first.
Yeah, they're not going to cover a tariff.
So they're going to start cutting people off of medicines or telling you to eat the price in the short term. And that means your life-saving medicines are going to go up $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, $700 to $1,000, maybe $2,000, depending on how much your medicine base price was prior to insurance covering any percentage of it. Then there's the other part of that that's a problem too.
And if you've made it this far in the video, hit subscribe and leave a comment.
Come on. There we go. So if you look at this, these are places that have stopped shipping to us. What if your medication comes from here? You may not get it anymore. So you may stop getting your medicine altogether. This is what he's doing. And the reason for this is, the reason a lot of these people have stopped shipping to us is something called de minimis. Now, up until recently, there was something called de minimis, which is if the price was below a threshold, we would not put import taxes or tariffs on it. And up until Bush or Clinton, I think it was like $200, and then they got raised to $800, which means that if you...
So anything coming in under $800 wouldn't be tariff.
Which is the overwhelming majority. And it really helped out a lot because if the money on a $20 item is like 26 cents, it's not worth the $20 or $30 an hour paying these customs people to go through, examine it, look at the paperwork,
catalog
it out, and send you a bill, wait for you to pay it, and then ship it out. It just doesn't matter. It doesn't work that way. So it kept like 90% of the frivolous crap from binding up the shipping. And the reason that list that I just showed you has stopped shipping here is the United States said, hey, we can't handle it. We don't have the infrastructure or the people or the resources to collect the tariffs on these under $800 items. We need you to do it and then send us the money. And those countries said, fuck off, we're done. So they shut down shipping to us because they don't want to deal with that. And people are finding medicines and clothing and items essential for business and all these different things, stop shipping to them. And people are going to die. Businesses are going to go out because they don't have what they need. That's just what's going to happen. And you can blame Trump. He's the one that signed the executive order to get rid of
turning into the third world.
We're going to end up in the fourth world at this rate. So if you want to blame somebody, go look at the executive order on de minimis. That's your orange Trump doing it. He did it. And he knowingly did it, and he talked about it, and he was proud of it.
No, if you want to blame someone, blame yourself if you voted for Trump.
And again, all your tariffs, which is your import tax that you are paying, is going towards the tax cuts for the rich. Notice that nobody's gotten a check yet.
I haven't got
They
a
haven't
check.
even talked about how much that check's going to be. Like, they're just bullshitting you. Anyway, how ridiculous. I'm going to send you a $3 check. It's like, no, that's not how that works.
I'll take it. I'm that kind
Uh,
of guy.
yeah, well, they're not going to do it. Let's just be honest. There's no way on God's green earth that you're going to get a rebate on tariffs. That's just horse's assery to believe that.
Horse's assery.
If you believe that, you need to go back to elementary school. Anyway, so this tariff is becoming more aggressive because now he's just using it for funsies. So the Venezuelan president that tried a coup to overthrow legal elections was arrested and is going to be
Based on
tried.
Trump doing it in 2021, he kind of copied it.
And he's arrested. He's on trial, or he's going to be on trial. And Trump's mad about it. So he told him, like, no. You need to
Let him go.
let him go. And we need a regime change, which what he's really asking for is that guy to become the leader of Venezuela. That's the point. That's what he's doing.
Yeah.
He wants
He's
to
dictating. He's playing kingmaker on the planet.
So he put a tax on him. And when your coffee prices go up, coffee prices go up. That's what happened. Venezuela is one of the places we import coffee. Coffee's going up 40 to 50%, maybe even 100%, depending on which ones. That's because of that, not because of trade imbalances. He told us in an interview in one of his things not that long ago, it's because of that. He said it. He said it live on TV. Go do your Googles, guys. And now he's talking about, the drug traffickers. It's like, no, Venezuela is not that big a deal. So then he goes and sends our military down there and just kills 11 civilians. And now we're at the brink of war with Venezuela. And I've heard rumors that China has already sent equipment to Venezuela to help Venezuela. So it could be a proxy war between the United States and Venezuela, with China helping them, a la Ukraine and Russia.
Well, you saw the meeting with Putin and Xi and what's his, Rocket Man, Kim Jong Un.
India, China, and Russia had a meeting, and Trump got really bitter about it because
He wants to be a part of it.
They decided to work together and form an alliance against the U.S. And you know what? In this case, Trump's the villain.
J-Train, you don't have to cry. You don't have to cry.
Trump put the tariffs in place. Trump wouldn't negotiate. He changed them on a whim. He didn't work with them. China and India both looked at us like we're fucking idiots, going, "What the hell are you doing?" No, we didn't do that. No, we're not saying that. They told the world repeatedly that everything Trump was saying was a fucking lie, and they've said it publicly, loudly. And if you look at it, it's like a chaotic child with a red Sharpie, like he's doing the tyrant shit.
What do you guys think about the 11 civilians that we killed, or their Tren de Aragua, apparently? But
So
the whole way we did that is illegal. That's a war crime. Going outside of our waters and attacking. If we didn't get due process, we didn't get any information on who was in that boat.
Yeah. And it's interesting, too, because the event may or may not have happened. We don't even know if it's happened or not.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Video of it.
I didn't even see the video. I just hear people talking about it.
Venezuela told us that didn't happen, and that was AI generated. But because they showed what they said was a false flag, or because the United States showed what Venezuela said is a false flag, they flew 2 F-16s over us, and China's supposedly landing there to help them. That shows you how fucking bullshit this is. Now, okay, let's say it didn't happen. Well, that's a wag the dog. Go look up Wag the Dog. There's a movie about it. It's about a false narrative that leads to an outcome based on desirability and profitability at the lie and the detriment of the American people. It's called Wag the Dog, the tail wagging the dog. And that's what it was. Weapons of mass destruction in the Middle East was apparently a wag the dog, according to everything I've been able to see and hear. It was a wag the dog. No weapons of mass destruction.
You're talking about Iran?
I'm talking, yeah. No, not the recent one.
Iraq?
I'm talking about the Gulf War.
Iraq.
When we went into Saudi Arabia.
Right.
And took out Hussein.
Saddam Hussein.
Saddam Hussein supposedly had weapons of mass destruction. Turned out he didn't. Turned out he wasn't even close. Everybody told me that it was a wag the dog.
Yeah, we just told the American people something so we could go in there and blow shit up.
Yeah. And it was a huge win for the military industrial complex. And Americans lost their lives. Now, did we get rid of a dictator? Sure. Did we fix the country? Hell no. Did we end up worse off for the wear? Yes.
How do we feel about that as a country, though? Like, when I look back on that, I feel like, yeah, that's shitty that they lied. I can't believe that they did that.
On
but
the
I
other
don't think
hand,
it
we
comes
took
across
out.
as like a bad memory to America.
On the other hand, we did put down a tyrant that literally boiled
Right.
people alive in acid on live TV. So
Exactly. So there was a little give and take on that one. But
yes,
this one,
but
like,
ultimately,
what are we
whether
doing
you
in
support the
Venezuela? Like,
war or
why are we attacking this Tren de Aragua drug ship outside of our waters? If we intercept them when they get close,
in
why
international waters,
international water? Yeah.
we attacked a ship unprovoked in international waters, and we can't verify they were drug addicts or drug dealers. Because if they had the real intelligence that they were drug dealers, it would have been like, these are the 11 people from the Mexican or from the cartel. This cartel. Here's the 11 people. Here's the pictures of them. Here's their names. Like, no, no,
I
no.
think it's just that this bluster that we're putting on. We're trying to make a point. We're showing all the immigrants of the world, do not come here. We're not going to let
Well,
you in,
it's
especially
another.
if you're brown.
This is another vector, and he gets two things out of it. One, he gets to put pressure on Venezuela, trying to get a regime change that'll be favorable to the tyranny in the United States. That's
So he gets
part
Maduro
one.
back in power.
So he gets another corrupt regime that he can get
He needs a friend.
whatever.
He needs a friend.
Yeah, he needs a friend. And then the other thing, too, is if he starts a war with Venezuela in the next 6 to 8 months, guess what happens?
Well, China, Russia, and now North Korea all are going to back them.
No. Well, maybe.
Maybe.
Maybe. I'm that's not
There's
even worried
two
about
new
that.
world orders assembling outside of the United States now. There's the globe the willing, the group of the willing, which is all the European leaders, and now we got like the dark side forming an alliance, and both of them are kind of pushing America out.
All right, so back it up a step. So the big thing he gets out of it, if he declares war, if we go to war, is if he does it right, he's going to use that as the basis to cancel elections. And I think this whole
Oh
thing
yeah,
is about canceling elections. I
that
think
makes
the whole
sense.
thing is about martial
Staying in
law and
power.
canceling elections. I think he is attacking the canceling of elections and the staying in power indefinitely by trying to provoke either the Insurrection Act or an actual war. Because if you go back to the Zelensky interview where he talks about this, he says, "Oh, you at war got to cancel elections? That's what I want to do."
I remember that.
And as soon as that was over, all of a sudden it became a big priority to go after Venezuela.
I wonder what is inside his head. What is his big power play? Why does he want to rule forever? He doesn't even like doing the job. He just wants to golf and be old and complain.
I personally believe that Trump thinks he's a god of some sort, that he is the best, that he deserves it, and that he can figure out how to live a lot longer than he is, and he's going to grab up as much as he can to be king before it's time for him to kick it. And the reality is, he's not entirely wrong, because as long as that regime stays in place, he'll be there until he dies. That's what's going to happen. Now, that could be in a month, it could be in a week, it could be in 5 years. I don't know how to qualify that. But and I say 5 years accordingly, because if he cancels elections or they make an amendment change while the Republicans are in full power, then yeah, he could have a third term as president. And people are like, well, that's against the Constitution. It's like, they've
He
already
doesn't give a
adjusted.
shit.
There's already a bill on the floor, very carefully worded, that would, if ratified by, was it 2/3 of the states or something like that, would change the election criteria for election of a president and would allow him to be president again for a third term. The other thing they've talked about is if they can't pass that because they can't get control of 2/3 of the states in the union, which is why he's occupying all these different states right now, is to get control of them. If you can remove the Democrats from the offices of and Massachusetts and California, if he can get Republican controlled in order to get the 2/3 pass, if he can't do that, then martial law, a war, or just canceling elections. And then he has one more backup plan, which is they've already discussed publicly. Well, if this doesn't happen and that doesn't happen, then what we'll do is Vance will run as president, Trump will run as vice president, and then as soon as they're elected, Vance will step down. A straw election.
I'm sure. I'm sure that
And
will happen.
according to a couple of different courts that have reviewed it, they think that that might be legal according to the wording. If you take it very strictly, if you don't take into account the straw part of it, blah blah blah, like according to the wording of the Constitution, that might be legal
If
depending
that
on
does go,
which court. And let's be honest, Supreme Court is back in Trump's totalitarian play. Everything is lining up, and that's what I was wanting to talk about. And the last thing was Supreme Court ruled today that it is legal, according to the Constitution, for ICE to target people based on skin color in order to shake them down and figure out if they're illegals in this country, which got blocked
There's some good news.
at a lower federal court. The Supreme Court said, "Nah, screw them. We're going to allow it." So racial profiling is now back on the plate for ICE, and the fact that that is even a thing shows you the Supreme Court is willing to bend over backwards. In fact, the presidential immunity thing was a great example of how they navigated a very shitty, incoherent narrative in order to give Trump presidential immunity for the insurrection. So the Supreme Court's already shown that they are willing to go around the law, around the will of the founders, and around the Constitution, or to interpret it in such a way to give Trump what he wants. Like, let's be honest, the electing Vance as Trump as the vice president and Vance standing down, the Supreme Court can say, yep, that's legal. We're good with that. And then what are you going to do? And let's be honest, if the 2/3 of this country is dumb enough to believe that Vance actually is going to be president and not allow a third term for a king, what are you going to do? Right?
I'm hoping we get to that point and they try to do that, and then JD Vance doesn't allow Trump in.
Well, what's really weird about it is everybody's like, well, JD Vance is better. It's like, nah, buddy. If you look at it, he recently said he was challenged about the legality of the attack on that boat from Venezuela. He said, I don't give a shit about the law. Mm. He literally said, I don't give a shit about the law. I don't give a shit about the legality of this. I'm the vice president. We're the government. We can do whatever the hell we want. He literally said this on video to a person. Like, he said it. He doesn't care about the law. And with the Supreme Court backing him and approving this lawlessness, what are you going to do?
All right.
The whataboutism reigns supreme.
Well, what do you guys think? Let us know in the comments. Trump is losing it. My camera
Trump
just died.
is
I had to
king
switch
right now.
What do you guys think about Daddy or precious King Trump?
And future King Vance, because that's what's lined up.
Yeah. All right, Jonathan, take us out of here.
I used to tell you, go vote, go get politically active, go do these things, but honestly, I'm kind of getting closer to like, go pray that something bad happens to Trump and let's move on.
I'm going to pick it up. I want you to get out there and vote. I want you to get involved. I want you to hit subscribe. I want you to be part of this pro-democracy movement, because the only way we're going to get him out of office, if there is enough of us making noise, that comes in the form of protesting, comes in the form of voting, comes in the form of making social media posts. Put it out there. Put it out there.
And I beg all of you, if you don't think anything I said today was valid, go Google it, go get the source of truth. And if I'm actually wrong in something, be respectful in your comment with the link to the thing. But don't go into the comments going, you're an idiot, and then leave it at that. That's useless.
That's most of the comments, by the way.
Include a link. Include,
you guys are dumb.
An actual discussion.
Yeah. Or we're kids. Gay. There's a lot of soy boy comments in there.
Well,
if you have something valid to say, make a valid argument. I'll bring you on the podcast. We can talk about it.
When the ignorant fail to make a rational comment, violence and word tailing and naming is just the only thing they got left. That's the last refuge of the ignorant. Sorry, guys. Amen. That's the truth of it.
All right. Well, until next time, hit subscribe. We're just trying to make sense out of this crazy world, and I hope you guys are too. My name is Chris McIntyre, and that's J Train. This is Almost Above Average, and we'll see you on the next one.
Buckle up, buttercups.